So this is why Nvidia is actually in trouble. Look at the massive amounts of GPUs that have been returned and are also still in stock, brand new at a local store. This is really why they're in trouble. And during the last week, I think a lot of us kind of forgot what the real GPU market looks like because of the RTX 4090. It brought us into almost like a fake la la land of where things were just like they were during the last generation. And that's not the reality. Even Nvidia pointed this out when, they canceled the RTX 4080. They mentioned how the 4090 was, and they showed a picture of a massive amount of people lined up to buy the 4090. That would make you think, wow, the GPU shortage is back. Everything's back to normal. And while it is true that the GPU shortage is back for the 4090 specifically, I covered this in one of my last videos, it's not true that the GPU shortage is back for all of the other GPUs. There are many factors to this. First, the new generation. Yes, a lot of people do want to get the RTX 4090. A lot of these will be gamers and enthusiasts. And from what we covered before, a lot will be resellers. Crypto miners are pretty much out of the picture. Aside from one or two that just want to test it, it's no longer really relevant at this point. So we're really left with the gamers and then the scalpers who can get it and then sell them to said gamers. So that's definitely going to be what a lot of people in line, like when you see a massive amount of line, that's just the reality of it, because then you can check like Facebook Marketplace or eBay and you'll see those GPUs immediately up for sale, sometimes even with the sticker of the salesperson that just sold it, like if it's Micro Center or something like that. So the 4090 definitely is experiencing a bit of a shortage. They had a lot of GPUs. In this store that I went to today, they said they had a massive amount, more than 150 4090 GPUs, and I kept track of it during the first day. And of course, they sold out mostly, but there were a couple left even up until the next day. So it definitely wasn't exactly like it was before. You could still get one if you walked in later that day, but for sure, by now they're sold out. And if you're not lucky enough to live near a Micro Center, for example, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually get a GPU because unfortunately online they sold out almost immediately, like 5 to 10 minutes on Newegg, Best Buy, things like that. They sold out very, very rapidly. So we know that Nvidia has been having problems with retailers having too much RTX 3000. Retailers have stopped buying them because they have so many. Nvidia has stopped pretty much producing and selling them as well. We know EVGA is completely out of the picture. So why are these GPUs not selling at all? And this is the most amount of returned GPUs that are now discounted that I've ever seen in any stores. Anytime that I've gone in, they always have a little section, but this is definitely the most I've ever seen. The problem here is amongst the return GPUs and the brand new ones, they really aren't priced all that great. That's just the truth. If you look at the tags of the various GPUs, they're still way too expensive. Retail, you're still going to see, 3070s for over $500, $600 in some cases, while online, if you're just a little patient and you don't mind a used GPU, you can get them for as low as like $320, $330. That's a substantial discount, especially if you're going to buy open box. Of course, there's definitely a benefit to buying brand new and buying open box from a store like this, because then you still have a return period, you have a warranty. Usually it's going to be a little bit safer. You're going to a store, no doubt that's going to add a lot of value, and to some people that may be all they need to spend that extra money. But looking at the used prices, they've definitely gone down a lot in the secondhand market. Sometimes you'll be able to get an entire tier of GPU better than if you buy retail. Like you can easily get a 3080 or even a 3080 Ti for close to some of the prices that the 3070s are going for in terms of retail. They're not going to sell these GPUs at these prices. Maybe they're kind of holding on to these prices, hoping that the market's going to pick back up, or maybe there's some type of illusion that the 4090, that being in demand, is somehow meaning that the entire market has gone back to what it was. And I just don't think that's true. People are definitely not buying these GPUs. The 4090 is something else that's, has interest for resellers, for the enthusiasts that want the fastest GPUs. So they definitely don't want the RTX 3000. You can see by the amount of GPUs in stock, these prices are going to have to come down a significant amount unless the market really does start to tighten again, which I don't think it will, because even if Nvidia stops producing these new GPUs and giving it, to the retailers, the RTX 3000, there are so many there that there would have to be some other type of event to happen in order for these to sell. I think that's part of the reason why Nvidia canceled the RTX 4080 12GB, because that would just compete with all of these GPUs under $1,000. Remember, right now, RTX 4000, all you have is the 4090, which is $1,600. The 4080 16GB is going to come in at $1,200, which is still much more expensive than any RTX 3000 GPU out now. You can get a 3090 Ti, which would be pretty close to a 4080 12GB if we judge some of the Nvidia graphs. You can get those for under $1,000 now. So basically under $1,000 is where Nvidia wants you to buy RTX 3000, but it's still way too expensive, especially with the 4080 16GB coming out next month, not to mention the announcement of an AMD's RDNA 3. A lot of people, I think, are definitely waiting for that, and I know maybe a few people were waiting for Intel Arc, but that's still kind of a problematic GPU, and for some people, judging from the prices on the secondhand market, you're probably better off just buying a used 3060, 3060 Ti or a 3070. Now, we're going to see what happens with these retail prices going forward, but for now, there are too many of them. They're not selling. The 4090 is selling because it's the newest GPU and highly in demand, but who knows how long that's going to continue, and that's completely different than RTX 3000. They're living on two separate worlds. We're going to see how the 4080 16GB is. I think that's probably going to sell out just as fast as the 4090, if not even faster, just because it's going to be the cheapest next generation RTX 4000 that you can get. And then after that, you're going to be left with having to get one of these RTX 3000s. The retailers may keep the prices high for them, making them not really that appealing considering their age, as well as what they're going up against with the performance increases in RTX 4000, which are definitely substantial. It's not just a small bump like it's been the last few generations. So if you're in the market and you're looking for a GPU, what's my recommendation? Well, if you can, unless you know you want a 4090 and you want to pay that type of money and you can actually find it in stock, that's what you should go for. If you want the best GPU, just get the 4090 if it fits in your budget. That's pretty easy. You may have a hard time finding it now as it sporadically comes into stock here and there, but if you still kind of want a high-end GPU that's, the newest thing, but you don't necessarily want to spend the 4090 money, your only choice would definitely be to wait a little bit longer. We have to see how the 4080 12GB might be. Maybe that's going to be a little bit better for you. And of course, AMD's RDNA 3, that's where we're really going to see hopefully some competition in terms of price to performance. If something like a 7900 XT comes out that has close performance to the 4090, but perhaps at $1,200 or significantly cheaper, and then maybe a 7800 XT under $1,000 that maybe gets close or even beats the 4080 16GB in terms of rasterization, that's going to be definitely a pretty interesting value proposition for people, and they may actually decide not to go for RTX 3000 at that point. But right now, your choice is either find a 4090 and spend that money, which I know a lot of people don't want to spend that much. Wait a little bit longer if you want something in the high end that might be more competitive, like RDNA 3 or even the 4080 16GB, or the third option would be an RTX 3000. Now, it's hard to say if the pricing for RTX 3000 is going to be the best now or the best later on, because remember, even though the GPU should continue to go down in price, what if the 4080 and RDNA 3 are very difficult to get like it's been with the 4090? That could mean that RTX 3000 prices could possibly creep up a little bit if people can't get the newest stuff, or at least stabilize. But if there are a lot of 4080s and a lot of RDNA 3 and a lot of demand goes along with that, then of course you may see the continued reduction of RTX 3000. But I still think the best deal would be to get a used RTX 3000 if you don't want to spend the amount of money that it's going to require for like a 4080 or a 4090. You may be able to pick up a 3090 for really cheap, maybe like $600 to $700 by then, which it's still going to be an amazing GPU. It's going to play pretty much any game, even at 4K, fairly competently. And if you know you need more, then unfortunately you're just going to have to stretch and save up for like a 4090 or something like that. But I would say most of the used RTX 3000 GPUs are going to be a good deal now if you can find a pretty good one, because remember, we're not going to have anything to replace like the level of a 3080 or even a 3090 for really a very long time. The 4070 likely is not going to come out anytime soon. 4060 is not coming out. So if you can get a pretty cheap 3080, I mean, even though it's not going to be the fastest performing GPU, just a few months ago, a lot of people would have paid a substantial amount of money for a GPU like that, and it's playing most games at a very high competent level, especially 1440p. Even the 3090 will do 4K pretty good if you don't need the crazy performance of the 4090. So my recommendation would be those three things. Either you buy a used RTX 3000 and be happy with the value to the performance that you're getting. Wait until you can get RDNA 3 and see how it compares to the 4090 or 4080, or just go out and buy a 4090. Most likely, even though that's the most expensive GPU for now, it's going to remain the top dog for a very long time until the 4090 Ti comes out. As of right now, we're not really thinking AMD is going to beat the 4090 in every single area. May come close in rasterization, but if we were to guess, I don't really think it's going to beat it, especially not in ray tracing. All right, guys, so let me know what you think down below. Do you think that there are just way too many RTX 3000 GPUs on the market, but maybe they're a little bit too expensive? Let's see what happens with pricing during the next few weeks. Remember to subscribe for more updates, and I'll see you guys on the next video.